And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against. And they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against. It's been pretty amazing, but it possibly, I don't know, maybe there's something there. And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. You know, they do shirts and they sell them for $19 a piece.
So you all were all there. A quick show of hands. Do you believe his comments were in any way racist? Nobody. Okay.
Anyone? Anyone? Don't everybody raise your hand at the same time. Bueller? Guys, this might actually be the greatest video clip ever produced by ABC News. Honestly, I cannot believe that they left it up on the internet. But I do think, I'm glad they did, because I think it's indicative of how pretty much everyone in the country is feeling. I mean, even liberal media handpicked historically Democrat voters, if we're to believe all the identity politics stereotyping, are so fed up with not just Joe Biden, but all the identity nonsense that gets pushed by everyone. And the stuff hasn't done anything good for anyone except for the people who continue to use it as just a shameless power grab. And, you know, this is all about the media trying to sell the fact that anything and everything that Donald Trump says is racist, including, of course, anything he says to black voters or black conservatives. I mean, it's funny. Honestly, it's pretty funny in a very, very sick kind of way when you think about it. But the Democrats will tell you that our minority communities are underrepresented. But the second anyone other than a Democrat tries to actually speak to them, tries to represent them, they cry racism. I mean, they're going to completely lose their minds when Trump gives his Bronx rally, I think later this month. And I can't wait for that. I wish that I could actually go to that. But anyway, that's not what this is about. ABC trying to trick random black people into some sort of Joe love fest. And it's a complete and total epic fail.
Saying in part, black Americans are waking up to the reality that the Democratic Party has taken advantage of them, and the media and the party are terrified. Our community supports the policies of President Donald J. Trump and knows full well that life was better 4 years ago under his administration. No amount of media deception or liberal race baiting will sway the minds of black voters who will cast their ballots this November for safer streets, a better financial well-being, a secure border, and a complete rejection of Joe Biden's disastrous tenure. So you all were all there. A quick show of hands. Do you believe his comments were in any way racist? Nobody. Okay. Abdul, what were your thoughts that night when you heard these comments during the event?
It's about time that somebody started telling the truth. I mean, he's only speaking to what some black folks have experienced for a very long time, which is a disastrous justice systems in many cases. And ultimately, we can all see this playing out right in front of our very eyes. I wasn't offended or didn't feel like anything he said was racist in any way.
Former President Trump also made a statement about his mugshot taken as part of his Georgia case. Let's take a listen to that.
And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. You know, they do shirts and they sell them for $19 a piece.
Kevin, Tia, I want to bring you in here. Do you feel that that comment was in any way off color?
Not at all. I mean, you know, the reality is that, you know, we see a president that has been prosecuted and persecuted. And a lot of people in the community, especially in the black community, who have felt that there's multi-tiers of justice, are seeing that played out in front of their very eyes. And they're saying, yeah, I can relate to this guy. This guy is going through some things that either myself or my family have gone through. And this is a very relatable moment for a lot of people. So seeing this mugshot as a big, you know, to the media and to the political pundits it's a big deal, and it really does resonate within the community.
Tia, want to get your comments there.
So this is not going too well, but guys, isn't it something, man? The view of these insulated limousine liberals, you know, they really do believe that everything a certain person says, or even the way they say it, is racist. It's racist. And I tried to find a clip of this woman discussing or even asking some random black people for their take on any of Joe's racist remarks. You know, the fact that he eulogized a Klansman that he called a mentor and a friend, the fact that he thinks poor kids are just as talented as white kids, or the fact that he thinks that black people who don't vote for him just aren't black. But I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it anywhere. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I haven't seen it. And I have a feeling that she's just going to keep playing clips and running down the line until someone says, I mean, I guess that's kind of racist, maybe. But so far, there's too much common sense and reason for the average race-baiting, identity politics playing journalist. And I'll keep going, guys. But first, this is going to be a hell of a year for conservative voices, and I need your help to get mine heard. So be a part of the channel's growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. We'll keep going.
Well, no, I agree, especially coming from an education perspective. He didn't say, if you're not black if you don't vote for me. He was just stating the truth, and that's what sometimes we need to hear. For too long in politics, we've been lied to, and we need to hear the truth and have someone that we can relate to.
Me personally, I don't think that's necessarily relating to blackness, but I do think that a lot of black people have gone through the criminal justice system, and it has been unfair to them. And I think that's what he was saying.
Adul, you've said that you focus more on Trump's policies than what he actually says. But as we saw when he was president, his words do have tremendous power, even fluctuating the stock market just minutes after he'd speak. Do you think that his words shouldn't matter?
His words absolutely do matter, and I'm less concerned with something said in jest, and I'm more concerned with the fact that we had a president who actually took on criminal justice reform with the First Step Act. And unlike the Biden administration and the Democrats, he set forth a platinum plan for black economic empowerment, something we've seen nothing of the sort from the Democrats.
Kevin, your thoughts?
Just look at her face. She's shell-shocked, man. She does not know what's going on, and she's probably super pissed at whichever producer is responsible for this segment. She doesn't even know what the Platinum Plan is. Never, ever heard of it. Never even heard the word. But what it was an initiative and a plan of promises to minority communities that Donald Trump made to make Juneteenth a federal holiday, to prosecute KKK and Antifa members as domestic terrorists, and $500 billion worth of economic investment in the community over and above all the Opportunity Zone commitments that they've already made. But of course, didn't get the chance to make it law because Joe Biden took over. But don't worry, Joe believes so strongly in the Platinum Plan in the black community that he kept a portion of Trump's plan. He made Juneteenth a holiday and considers himself some sort of civil rights hero because of it.
Kevin, your thoughts as far as, do you feel that there have been some policies in the past, well, while he was president for 4 years, that black people benefited from?
Absolutely. And the number one policy, and the one policy I wish the mainstream media would cover, because it would give you a lot more credibility amongst your average folks, would be the policy that Joe Biden in his 1994 crime bill, when he says, look, we're going to get rid of these racial jungles. We're going to, basically target black and brown communities for a little $5 piece of crack. We're going to send them to prison for 15 to life. And this has been going on. President Trump came in and saw the injustice that was perpetrated on the black community, especially. It was targeted. And he said, no, we're going to dismantle this.
According to exit polling, former President Trump's...
Consider what you just saw there. I mean, she just heard a man talk about the federal government targeting primarily black men, making the penalties for crack cocaine 100 times more than powder cocaine, a policy that Joe Biden himself is largely, if not completely, responsible for. And she did not say a word. She completely ignored it. She's like, let's talk about polling. Let me talk about polling. That's unacceptable. And I've shown this before, but this is what she's ignoring. This is the civil rights hero Joe Biden opining on essentially non-white men who use the same drugs that his son ended up addicted to.
We must take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. The Democratic chairman of the Judiciary Committee, the Democratic president of the United States of America, the Democratic attorney general, the Republican leader of this effort, Senator Hatch, the Republican senator from Texas. We all agree on that. There's a second thing that we all have agreed upon, and that is unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now, not out of a liberal instinct for love, brother, and humanity, although I think that's a good instinct, but for simple, pragmatic reasons. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale.
That's hard to watch, man. And I don't know how anyone can watch that and just explain it away or like most leftists do, just ignore it. But the words that have always stuck with me are, we should focus on them, he says, and not out of a liberal instinct for love, but because if we don't, they'll become the predators. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets. That's Joe Biden, man. And this is what we have allowed to become president of the United States, man. That just breaks my heart. And worse than that, people believe that he is the compassionate and loving protector of diversity. I mean, it's freaking amazing, dude. I mean, the greatest trick the devil ever played was to convince the world that he didn't exist. Well, this is a very, very close second place. I mean, and this is what our friend from ABC can't possibly have a conversation about. I mean, let's see what sort of polling she thinks is more important than that.
Dismantle this.
According to exit polling, former President Trump saw a 5% increase in the black vote from 2016 to 2020. Tia, I want to bring you back in here. What do you think is driving this increase? What specific Trump policies do you feel have helped black Americans?
Well, I mean, I'll start with myself. I was a Democrat for all my life, my entire family, but it was around COVID time when I started paying attention to policies being made. Like I started paying attention to, when Trump and other politicians were listening to the parents, the people who really had voices that matter. Because if you look at the media now, no one's paying attention to the parents and what we need. And just because I'm a black parent doesn't mean that I care less about my child. Doesn't mean that my opinion should not be heard. So there have been a lot of policies that, Trump has been supporting within the parental rights system.
And anyone can answer here, kind of a jump ball. Final question. What do you think about the media response, the noise, and some of the
she says something that I think is really important. She uses the fact that she's a parent, but replace that with anything else. Replace it with American, and it still means the same thing. Just because she's black doesn't mean that all these other things, policies and history shouldn't matter. I mean, the way that the media always frames it just really shows their hand. When it's a Republican that they're talking about, they'll ask, what have the Republicans done for black America? They won't ever ask that about the Democrats. They frame the argument around the Democrats as if they're the saviors, as if they're the ones that can do no wrong. They're the ones that don't actually need to accomplish anything in order to own the black vote. But Republicans need to do something over and above, something incredibly special and specific to earn it away from the Democrats that deserve the vote for nothing. I mean, really, it's completely bogus to begin with. Ronald Reagan said it best: a rising tide lifts all boats. In 2024, man, there isn't white policy and black policy. There is good policy and there is bad policy. The only people not willing to have that conversation are Democrat propagandists and the people that they have victimized.
The media response, the noise, and some of the comments made as a result of the controversial remarks, if you will, that Donald Trump said over the weekend. And I'm also curious, is there anything that Donald Trump could say that would stop you all from voting for him?
And that is the question that she has been dying to get out this whole time. She's like, look, nothing I've said has worked. Everything I've tried to sell you as racist and wrong has failed. She wants so badly to just dismiss them as deplorable cult members, but she's defeated, man. And guys, is there anything he could do to lose your support is what she finally just breaks down and asks.
For me, I would say that it's more so about policy and action instead of just talking. You know, someone can talk a good game all day. They can appeal to Black voters if they want to, but it's all about policy and what you're doing. That really stands out to me. Like, for instance, there are two big policies that I agree with that he has passed, such as things on school choice. I'm pro-school choice, and I'm also anti-illegal immigration. I think that it does disproportionately affect Black Americans, and I think that a lot of my counterparts would agree with. And I say that because those people are being sent to Black communities. They're being sent to our hoods, our neighborhoods.
Anyone else?
Well, if Trump came out tomorrow and said, I want an unlimited open border, if he came out tomorrow and said he was in favor of late stage abortion, if he came out tomorrow and said he doesn't think Black people have the capacity to succeed in this country, then I wouldn't vote for him. But chances are he won't be saying those things, and chances are I'll be supporting him.
Sharice, Tia,
That's a mic drop right there, man. That is a good and smart American. You can't say it any better than that, so I'm not even going to try, guys. That is just my take. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you haven't already, guys, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.